Thanks for tuning in, guys, to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's up, everybody? So, first news of the day, Darren Till, this is just announced, by the way. Darren Till versus Stephen Thompson is targeted for UFC 130. They're headlining in Liverpool.
Oh, nice.
Damn, man, that's going to be a tough one for Thompson. Darren Till is a big man, bro. He's really big for in his division. But Thompson's he's gonna really have to put that karate to like full effect, right? Jab, jab, try to stay as far away as possible, because if Darren Till catches you, it's game over.
I know, but that's the thing about Thompson. Thompson does that so well. That's what he does. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying maybe he should come out. That's what he does.
But that's why this fight is like.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
it totally makes sense, and it also, thank God we were starting to see Wonder Boy, man.
Well, even worse is Darren Till, if you ask me. Darren Till comes up from a big highlight reel with his Cowboy Cerrone and goes missing. Yeah. And everybody's talking about this guy like, oh my God, the performance that he put up and all this, and you don't hear anything about him. But Thompson as well. But keep in mind, Thompson was injured. Or still is injured right now. He's still going through some recovery.
This is actually a rumor, right? This is not official.
Right,
yet.
Nothing is official. But if they mentioned Liverpool, then that means they're
targeting it
right.
For sure. Yeah. Well, as soon as you start going into different countries, they really start targeting these fights a lot faster.
Absolutely. Another one is Joshua. Anthony Joshua is getting a $500 million contract by the UFC. Again, another rumor instead of 100%.
And people who don't know him, because he doesn't fight for he's not an MMA fighter. He's an actual boxer.
Right. Undefeated heavyweight boxer. He's like 28-0.
And he's a young cat, man.
Yeah.
He is the truth. He's the truth when it comes to boxing.
In his sport, right.
Right. What is he gonna do in MMA? It might not be such a bad idea if you think about most of these heavyweight fighters. Most of these heavyweight fighters are stand-up fighters. They're not necessarily takedown artists. Not unless you're talking about like Fabricio Verdum or something like that. But so back to the matter at hand. The biggest thing about this is that according to rumors, he's getting $500 million to sign a UFC contract. So. Me and one of my friends was discussing this. It bugs me that this is even a rumor, man. $500 million?
Yeah.
Give that shit to fucking Conor McGregor to get him back into the octagon.
But
you know what I mean? Like, somebody who's brand new, who's never fought before. It's almost to say, maybe that's a bad example to think about like CM Punk and give him a ton of money. But let's just say CM Punk. If you were to give CM Punk $200 million to come fight, but he's never fought in an octagon before. He's never fought MMA before.
Well, yeah, that's why this is a bad analogy what you're saying, because you can't compare a guy like CM Punk versus Joshua
just because he's a true
has
fighter.
Real experience in professional boxing. He's a champion, right? He's a champion. I do agree that I don't know where these rumors came about, but that should have been under wraps. That should have never been publicized. Think about how every other fighter would feel in that field.
The top fighters.
Top fighters. Like $500 million. Like, come on, man. There's people that are coming up right now. They're trying to make name for themselves. They're nowhere near reaching that $500 million. I really hope that it's a complete lie. But I don't want to continue talking about that. Let's go next to the next topic. It's also in rumors, but most likely might happen. Colby Covington finally is back, very similar like Darren Till, completely hidden, versus Rafael Dos Anjos, and they're trying to headline that for UFC 224. And it's for the interim title, which is a very interesting, should be an interesting fight. Although I don't think Colby Covington will get past maybe the first or second round with Rafael Dos Anjos. The way Rafael Dos Anjos has been performing.
I will tell you, if Covington could back up everything he freaking says, whether it was his Instagram and the crazy shit he talks about people on the gram, if he could back it up, man, I will tell you right now, he's one of these fighters that if he loses, he takes a bigger loss because he's hated. He's really hated. He makes so much fun of Woodley, and I think his Instagram. I don't know if you've ever seen his Instagram. He made a huge deal about Woodley staying out for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, is Woodley really injured? They're putting him in an injured belt?
He is. He is injured, so it completely makes sense for them to put up an injured belt. But at this point, it's like, what the fuck is an interim belt, to be honest? It's fucking ridiculous. But they're not going to take the belt away from Woodley. So it makes sense for them to do something where they could get, in other words, the number one contender for sure, 100% to fight Woodley, right? So not a bad situation for Rafael Dos Anjos, without a doubt. Because I tell you what, right now, if Devin Till knocks out Stephen Thompson, if that does happen to happen, I can tell you right now that they're not going to do Rafael Dos Anjos versus Woodley. They're going to take Devin Till and they're going to put him in the headline. Mark my words. I really do believe so.
We'll see what happens. I do agree. The way Dos Anjos has been looking as of late, he looks unbeatable, man.
He does.
He looks unbeatable, and his wrestling and his takedowns have been so consistent. To fight someone like Woodley, who's known to he's really been putting up boring fights as of late because he's of peers in wrestling. That would be a good matchup. Even if it's a boring fight and they go on the ground and there's really little going on to the fight and it goes to a decision. I mean, I can see Dos Anjos pulling off a victory there.
It's a possibility. Who knows? We had mentioned last week Barbosa versus Lee, right? They were headlining, which they still are. They're headlining UFC Fight Night. I think it's like 126. Who knows? But that's not the point. The point is that they're fighting in Atlantic City, right? They're headlining. The co-main event has officially been announced, so it's now official. Frankie Edgar versus Cub Swanson. That's the second time they fight. As we know, Frankie Edgar took the W last time. One of the things that we posted up on our IG page is Frankie Edgar ready to go back into the octagon after the devastating knockout that he had against Ortega, right? If you ask me, I just feel like he should take a little longer, man. I really do believe he should take a little bit longer. I know that he's hitting that age where,
just a little,
he's coming. Yeah, for him. Exactly. So, but at the same time, for his own health, his own risk, I think UFC should not sanction this fight just yet. Give him a little longer period of time for him to recover and everything. Frankie Edgar, it was the first time you got knocked out, but you got knocked out in a crazy fashion, But with that being said, man, Frankie Edgar, a beast. You can't.
So there's two sides to the story. Obviously, I agree with what you're saying. I think they should wait a little bit longer to put him back in the octagon. But if anybody is capable of doing that, it's going to be Frankie Edgar, right? So it's one of those things where it's really a toss-up. I'm not happy because I'm a Frankie fan,
absolutely.
And what he's capable of doing, what he's done for the sport. I think he's one of the fighters that's already hitting a certain real small gap in that age group where he might not, the Michael Bingsby, Shoguns, and Lyoto Machidas, but he's the one that's been the most consistent out of all of them.
I agree with you. Yeah, he's the one that is showing. His age might be going higher, but his performance have been going even better. So I do agree with you.
It's sad to see that. It's sad to see that Frankie's camp is allowing this as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's not cool that the UFC's entertaining this. We saw what happened to Michael Bingsby after he lost.
Right. But it's official. So let's I guess we'll predict. We'll get deeper into it.
Regardless, this is an amazing fight.
It is. Well, it's an amazing card already to begin with.
Yeah.
There's two good main events already. So looking forward to that in Atlantic City.
For a fight night, it's a great fight.
Absolutely. The next one, Shogun Rua. It's scheduled to fight versus Volkan at UFC Fight Night 129. Volkan is getting right into it after falling to DC. One of the easiest victories for DC, with all due respect. But it's important for you to get back on your feet and get right into it. I think Volkan took his time off, relax for a little bit, continue your training. I think it's a great matchup against Shogun Rua. If Shogun Rua pulls off this win, this is going to be phenomenal because Volkan fought for the title. He just fought for the title. If Shogun Rua wins this fight, he might be the number one contender in that weight class, in the light heavyweight.
Yeah, I think the reason why Volkan was taken so far back to fight Shogun, because that's to an extent.
Well, not really, because he's coming off two wins.
Two big wins. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say he's going back necessarily.
I still believe that they feel like he is. The Shogun fight right now, to me at least, makes sense.
Yeah.
There's sometimes when some fighters fight for the belt and then they drop him down and make him fight a no-namer. For him to fight Shogun, I'm pretty sure this is one of those dream fights for these fighters, that they fight somebody who they probably grew up watching.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make for a great fight, and it's gonna make for a stand-up fight, which is what I'm really looking forward to. You know what I mean? I want Shogun to, if Shogun still has a chance in that division, and in his career, in the UFC in general, he needs to stand up there and do something where he's gonna make some noise to come right back.
You know, the light heavyweight division is really not like stacked. Not like it once was, you know. With John Jones being out, there's really no real competition. With all due respect,
to DC,
right? To the champion. So little fights like this completely make sense. I mean, who really you're gonna put either one up with? You know, right now that light heavyweight division is just not stacked up the way it once was. You know. But yeah, so that's being targeted. Not 100% official for UFC Fight Night 129. And last but not least, one of the things that we also put on our IG was Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. Baby Jesus, listen to us. We need this fight to happen. I think the bullshit talking from Derek Lewis is, I love him, man. That guy is the funniest guy on IG, hands down right now.
And he backs it up.
He's coming off a tremendous win. And even with the win that he had and Francis Ngannou not coming out from the loss, you have to remember, very similar to the fight we spoke about before, which is Joe Gunn versus Volkan. Although Francis Ngannou just lost, he lost for the title, you know, versus Stipe Miocic. So it makes sense to put him against Derek Lewis. Very similar to Volkan losing the title and going against Shogun. I believe that it's going to be fireworks. Who's gonna knock who out is just a matter of time to find out. Like, you know, if they ever put them in the octagon, who they both have potential to knock each other out. That's what makes this so exciting, because nobody's wrestling.
No, they're definitely not, man. Yeah. They're definitely not. It's gonna be an amazing fight, and this could really put Lewis where he really wants to be with a good KO victory to someone like Francis. And this could just put Francis right back to where he already was if he ends up winning. So both of them winning makes a huge deal for that division, and those two guys are making that division really interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing the heavyweight continue moving the way they are.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good, and especially with this fight that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, and then the rumors with Brock Lesnar coming back. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's take these shots, man.
Let's do it. So let's start off with the first fight. So we have Leon Edwards versus Peter Sabota. That was the first fight on the main card, right? This is for UFC Fight Night 127 that just happened this Saturday. I took the L on this one. Peter Sabota got knocked out in the third round with was a minute left in the third round. He gets his lights shut off. I didn't really know either one of these guys. I think it was a good performance for both of them till somebody got knocked out. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys again in the octagon. Both of them, although Peter Sabota lost, I really do believe that
Sabota was going in there the favorite, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Sabota was coming off two huge victories. Cheers, my brother. And to see it go down like that, it was really interesting, man. I'm looking forward. You're right. I'm looking forward to continue seeing these two guys continue fighting.
Yeah, I do agree. The next one. Now I have a hard time pronouncing this guy's name, and right now you're serving yourself because of the next fight you lost. But Tom Queventnoy, something like that. I can't pronounce his last name. He fought against Jimmy Manoa. I'm sorry, but versus Tarian Ware. It was a good performance. It was a unanimous decision. Although Tarian threw a lot more punches and kept a little more active, the accuracy with both significant strikes and regular strikes went to Tom. Tom performed his ass off. Great technique, great striking percentage. Another one, man. Something to look forward to with this kid.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of that fight. I was a little busy actually. But from what I read, this kid is the freaking truth, man. I love guys that are from like different countries that you could throw them in those European cards.
Yep.
Don't necessarily have to bring them into the States. You know, keep those European fighters busy. Keep them out there because they entertain. They totally do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers, everyone.
And it brings a name to their country. I think it's important to have these guys there. All right. So the next one was John Blachowicz versus Jimmy Manoa. Here, I'll serve. We both picked Jimmy Manoa to win the fight.
I did not see Manoa losing this fight. I really didn't see Manuwa losing this fight. I was really in shock to see him lose this fight. It's a huge step back for him, I feel, man.
I agree. I don't think. I mean, let's not take anything away from Jan, but I really thought that this should have been an easy win for Manuwa.
The more developed fighter, the one that people know more, you know, and that's one of those things that I always say to people, like, keep your eyes open with fights like this, because sometimes like, oh, this big top name is fighting a no-namer, and all of a sudden things switch, you know, like Darren Till is a perfect example. Not to say Darren Till was going in there a no-namer when he fought Cerrone.
Well, let's take it back. No, he was going in there a no-namer for the people that really didn't know MMA.
Exactly.
He was nowhere, you know, in the MMA circuit for a while. Like, his name wasn't ringing bells. I mean, his whole team was saying, this is the guy, he's coming up, and then before you know it, he knocks out Donald Cerrone. You know what I'm saying? So, but this is what you get with these type of fighters, you know?
Hands down, dude. I'm really looking forward to that.
But with that being said, we both picked Manuwa. We thought it was one of the easiest wins in the card. It turned out to be one of the most horrible.
And as we move forward, a lot more happened.
And Jan really performed his ass off. Good unanimous decision win for him. You can do the next one. So the next one, the last and final fight for UFC Fight Night 127 was Alexander Volkov. He was fighting against Fabricio Verdum.
I have a lot to say in this card. First of all, it bugs me. It bugs me that Fabricio lost the way he lost.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it shows you how your game. You go with a plan A and it doesn't work, and there really isn't a plan B.
No.
Why would you? You know he. I always say this.
A seasoned vet.
I always say this. When I look at Fabricio Verdum, I always compare him to BJ Penn. The reason why, if these two fighters take you down, you're losing. Their level of jiu-jitsu is so out of this world. Yeah. You're losing, right? It's like Damon Maia type of thing. But Damon Maia is the perfect example of what to do when you're actually a jiu-jitsu fighter, right?
Yeah.
Let's leave that to the side. But they're so stubborn. They're so hard-headed. They go in with the plan A, and if that thing doesn't work, there is no backing that up.
Yeah.
And I will say, I always question some of their corners, even though BJ Penn's had one of the best corners in the game, and Fabricio as well. Fabricio has done a phenomenal job in the stand-up game. But shit, man, if that shit ain't working, do what you know. Do what you know, what you do best.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I feel like Fabricio Verdum decided to stand up with a guy like Volkov, who is coming out of a K1 championship fight, which he won and he became the champion. Where all he does, K1, as people don't know, is a stand-up fight. They do real kickboxing in the middle of the octagon, in the ring, with boxing gloves and why would you want to stand up with a guy like that? It doesn't make any sense. Do you not look at film? Do you not look at now? With that being said, Fabricio Verdum is a great stand-up fighter, but even a better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Why not exactly what you said? Take him down. Because of that, he gets KO'd in the fourth round with 1 minute and 38 seconds to go.
And the way the way these guys get knocked out, it almost looks like it was just a stubborn type of way to go out. It's a bad thing, man. Fabricio Verdum was just making us. I was just talking about how Fabricio should be like one fight away from that title.
Without a doubt. I mean, with this, depending on the performance he would have put here, he could easily go and fight for the title versus Stipe Miocic if he beats DC. Because I don't know what they're planning on doing if DC beats Stipe Miocic.
Jesus Christ, man.
But with that being said, now because of this performance that Alexander Volkov put off, what makes you think that he's not already in the title contention? You know, he might get the next, shot.
Not to take anything away from the other guy, he did a phenomenal job. He did what he was out set to do. He stand up and banged, and he ended up winning the fight exactly how I'm pretty sure they planned it out.
Right. No. Very well performed performance by Volkov. But yeah, man, that was the end of the fight. Let's just take this as the last shot because we both picked Fabricio Verdum. One of the other fights that we thought was going to be a little easier to pick. That's a wrap. Yeah.
All right, guys.
That's a wrap.
Continue to follow us on the Will of Rock MMA podcast on Instagram. Same goes for YouTube. Continue to leave comments. If you know somebody who knows somebody, subscribe. This is an MMA podcast. If you guys are about MMA, subscribe. Peace, guys.
Peace.